Okay, so let's recite together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the sublime, the victorious, and the totally self-enlightened one. Okay, welcome everyone. How's everyone? Good? Yeah, very good. Good. Happy to see you all. Okay, so today we are going to start a new foundation of mindfulness, and the last one actually, the contemplation on the Dhammas or Dhammanupassana. And in this section, 5 subsections are included. So we are going to look at 5 different categories. So, as we have seen previously, the first foundation of mindfulness, Kayanupassana, the contemplation of the body, is the contemplation of the physical or material body, right? And then the contemplation of feeling is the contemplation of the mental experience as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Then last week we have seen the contemplation of consciousness, which is also the contemplation of mind and mental factors also. And today we are going to look at the contemplation of the Dhamma, which includes actually both Nama and Rupa. But as we have already talked about this previously, that it is only a matter of what to start with, because at the end, for Vipassana, we must always contemplate both Nama and Rupa, so all the 5 aggregates of clinging, right? Okay, so today we are going to start with the first section of the Dhammanupassana, which actually are basically mind only, mental factors, later you will see. And then later in other sections, there will be mind also and Rupa as well. Now, for Dhammanupassana, it is usually translated as the contemplation of mind objects or mental objects. So Dhamma, this word is translated here as mind objects or mental objects, which Sayadaw Usilananda said this is neither accurate or nor concise, because the objects of meditation mentioned in this section, as we just said, belong to both groups. So mental as well and material also. Now, if we translate it as mental object, meaning that those are the objects of the mind, then body is also object of the mind, the feeling also object of the mind, and consciousness itself can also be object of the mind, right? So it cannot be quite specific. Then if we mean object of the mind to mean object that are mental only, then matter will be excluded. So therefore, the translation of the word cannot be very satisfactory in whichever case. So it is very difficult to find an English word that covers the full meaning of Dhamma. So therefore, Sayadaw Usilananda said it is better just to leave the word Dhamma untranslated and just try to understand what Dhamma means in this section of the sutta. So here we will also just use the word Dhamma, so contemplation of the Dhamma. Okay, so there are 5 subsections here, and the first one, which we are going to look at today, is the 5 hindrances, the Nīvaraṇas. Then, in other groups which are included here, are the 5 aggregates of clinging, the 6 internal and external bases. Now here you see that here also Rupa is included. Here also the 6 internal bases and external bases. They are also Rupa and also mind as well. And then we have the 7 factors of enlightenment, which are mental factors. And then we have the 4 noble truths, which also includes Nama and Rupa. Okay, so today we're going to start with Nīvaraṇas. Everyone ready? Yeah, okay, the 5 hindrances. Now, whatever we are doing, we will always find that there are some kind of obstacle or hindrances that needs to be overcome. So for meditation, it is the same. Hindrances are the negative factors that hinder or obstruct the gaining of concentration and the obstruction for meditation in general, right? Now, usually, most of the time, we understand the five hindrances to be the obstacle to jhana. Because when I think in previous sessions, we have also talked about that when we want to attain jhana, first we have to overcome the five hindrances before the mind can get concentration, right? And for vipassana as well, we have to overcome the five hindrances so that the mind can concentrate and see ultimate reality as they are correctly or rightly, right? So five hindrances, usually we take it to be the obstacle to jhana or to concentration. But actually, they are also obstacles to rebirth in the heavenly realms, as well as obstacle to the attainment of Nibbana. So now let's go to the sutta and see what the Buddha said. So this section starts with Katencha bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupasi viharati. And how bhikkhus does a bhikkhu dwell contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhammas? Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupasi viharati panchasu nīvaraṇesu. Here, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhammas, in the five hindrances. Katancha panna bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupasi viharati panchasu nīvaraṇesu. And how bhikkhus does a bhikkhu dwell contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhammas, in the five hindrances? So how do we understand a bhikkhu dwells contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhammas and the five hindrances? What are the five hindrances? So let's look at it first. So the five hindrances, they are obstacles or negative factors that hinder our development in the Dhamma practice. And they are sense desire, kamachanda, ill will, vyabhada, sloth and torpor, tinamida, restlessness and remorse or worried, uddhacca and kukucca, and then doubt, vicikicca. So these five are called the five hindrances. They are the obstacles for our development in the Dhamma practice. Now in the sutta it says, Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu santam va ajattam kamachandam ati me ajattam kamachandoti pajanati. Herein, bhikkhus, when sense desire is present in him, the bhikkhu knows there is sense desire in me. Or asantam va ajattam kamachandam nati me ajattam kamachandoti pajanati. When sense desire is absent in him, he knows there is no sense desire in me. So the first thing is, again, to know, right? To know with awareness as well as with clear comprehension. So first we have to know if sense desire is present or it is absent. Now, sense desire, kamachanda, means desire or attachment or craving or longing or lust for visible objects, sound, smell, taste, tangible object, and mental objects as well. So desire for any of these things is called sense desire in this section. Now, when sense desire is present in meditators, they know there is sense desire in me. Whenever thoughts of desire, lust, or craving, or thoughts of attachment arise, we should be aware of the presence of sense desire in the mind and observe it and make it the object of the meditation. Here, it says santam. Santam, in English, translated as present. Present. So this present actually means that it exists because it occurs repeatedly. Not just that it is present at this present moment, but it can also mean that it exists because it occurs repeatedly. So sense desire occurs again and again. So something that exists because it occurs repeatedly. It means this present here. So it's a little bit wider than just in the present moment, exact moment. Why is that so? That's because consciousness arises one after another in a flow. And there are no two consciousness that arises at the same time. But because they appear and disappear in great speed, like in a blink of an eye, billions of consciousness or chitta arise and passed away. So we are not capable at seeing each of them. So we think or we feel that it is like continuous, or it appears to be one same mind all the time because we do not see the arising and passing of it. But in reality, each mind, each consciousness arise, exist, and pass before another consciousness can arise, exist, and pass. So kusala mind, wholesome mind, and unwholesome mind cannot exist in the same time. They cannot coexist. Now, the sense desire, which is the object here, is not really present, strictly speaking. It's not really present at the moment when meditator comes to know, or when meditators come to know them, because they cannot coexist with the consciousness that is knowing. So the knowing is the wholesome consciousness, and the desire itself is an unwholesome consciousness. This unwholesome consciousness occurred just a little bit earlier than the observing mind, than the wholesome consciousness that arises a little bit later. We have seen this briefly when we look at the contemplation of consciousness last week. So in this case, that this knowing mind is knowing the saraga chitta, no? So a consciousness that is associated with raga, or with lust, or with desire. Now here, instead of focusing on the chitta itself, we are focusing on the hindrances. So therefore, although it is basically the same thing, it's also a consciousness that is associated with lobha. But here, our focus is on that this lobha, or this desire, or this sense desire, is the hindrance to our practice. So it falls into the category of observing the contemplation of the Dhamma in the 5 hindrances, right? Okay, so since this mind cannot arise together, so it is not exactly in the present, or in the present moment, right? But since these thoughts arise in meditators again and again, they are said to be existent. So at the moment of observing the hindrances, they are actually already gone, but they come up again. So therefore, that is still considered at the present moment, because the time gap is very small between this arising and the knowing of it. The time gap is very, very, very small. So we still consider that the present moment in terms of vipassana meditation. So here we have to recognize what is present or existent or occurs repeatedly. So when a sense desire is present, we know such and such desire has arisen. And when that sense desire is absent, we also have to know that there is no sense desire at the moment. So we have to see whether they are there or whether they are not there. Now, how about absent? Asantam. Means negation, so not present or absent. So when sense desire is absent in him, in the meditator. Now, absent here, it can be of two kinds of absent. The first one means that not existing because it does not occur, or because it has been abandoned already. So for those who have reached arahantship, the totally enlightened person, sense desire is totally abandoned. It will never arise in them again. So therefore, for them, this absent is because of abandon. No? So therefore, it will not arise again. The second meaning is it is absent simply because it does not arise. It is not arising at this time, at this moment, although when there is opportunity, it may still arise. Or it is there, but then the meditator observed it and then it disappeared. So when it disappears, it is absent. It is considered absence. So meditators notice that no sense desire arises in him, or sometimes they notice that the sense desire which was there disappeared. And so now it is absent. Well, whatever the case may be, we must be mindful of the absence of sense desire also when it is absent. Okay, then the sutta continues. Yatacha anupanassa kammachandassa upado hoti tancha pajanati. He also knows the reason by which the arising of non-arisen sense desire comes to be. So that means the meditator, they know that there was no sense desire, but because of some reason, that sense desire that was not arisen, that was not there, arises. So he knows why, what is the reason of it. So for sense, even for kusala or for akusala, there are causes of arising for them. For wholesome thoughts or for unwholesome thoughts, there are causes of their arising. Generally speaking, there are two kinds of what we call reflection, or sometimes we may call them attitude or viewing. That is the yoniso manasikara, wise reflection, and ayoniso manasikara, unwise reflection. Now, wise reflection means viewing things correctly according to its real nature. So seeing them as they really are, as anicca, dukkha, anatta, and asubha. The Buddha said everything is impermanent, is unsatisfactory, and non-self. So we are not to be attached to anything. When we see things in this way, we have right reflection, that is right and correct attitude or view of things. And if we have unwise reflection, yoniso manasikara, that means those kinds of reflections are on the wrong track. They are the kinds of reflection that take impermanent to be permanent, unsatisfactory to be satisfactory, non-self to be self, and the non-beautiful as beautiful. So when we take things to be permanent or satisfactory, or as a self, or as beautiful, or as something to be attached to, then we will have this kind of unwise reflection, which is called yoniso manasikara. And these reflections are called unwise because they cause akusala to arise. When we see things in this way, not as they really are, when we see them as permanent, beautiful, self, and satisfactory like that, then we will attach to it. So therefore, it leads to akusala, unwholesome mind. And wise reflection, seeing things correctly in the right way as they really are, leads to a wholesome mind. So meditators also understand that the reason by which the arising of non-arisen sense desire comes to be, that's because of unwise reflection or unwise attention. So sense desire arises in us because we reflect on it in the wrong way. Now, there are objects that are conditions for sense desire to arise. When we see that, or when we consider these things to be beautiful or that we think they are desirable, then we develop a kind of attachment to these things or this experience. Then we have craving. Now, this craving or attachment arises because of the wrong attitude that we are taking. We reflect on it incorrectly. So when sense desire arises, we may notice that this sense desire arises because we are reflecting unwisely. We have viewed the object of sensual desire in the wrong way, in a way that made us think that they are lasting, satisfying, substantial, or beautiful. So with mindfulness, we can notice and become more aware of it. So at that time, it is to say that the meditators also understand that because of this unwise reflection, sense desire arise. So that is how meditators understand why unreasoned sense desire arise, because of unwise reflection. Then the sutta continues, Yatacha upanassa kamachandassa pahanam hoti tancha pajanati. The meditators also know the reason why the abandoning of the arisen sense desire comes to be. So the abandoning of sense desire can be achieved in two ways. The first one with wise reflection, yoniso manasikara. And when we see things in the correct way, then we do not attach to them. And the second way is said to be by taking up the concept of non-beautiful as the object of meditation. That means the asubha practice, no? So it can be the 32 parts of the body or contemplation of the corpse, those different meditation that we have seen in earlier sections. And practice this samatha meditation until reaching the stage of jhana. So this is the second way. So these two ways these two are the ways that abandoning of sense desire can be achieved. So first, the first one is wise reflection, reflecting that these things, they are anicca, dukkha, anatta, and asubha. Or practiced the asubha practice, the non-beautiful aspect of the body until the attainment of jhana. And so by these two ways, we can achieve abandoning of sense desire temporarily. Now, when we are aware of its absence, we know the cost of the disappearance of this sense desire, either because when we are doing vipassana meditation, because of wise reflection or the correct attitude or correct view towards the objects, the sense desire disappeared. Or if one has achieved jhana, then one knows that the cost of the abandoning of this sense desire is the jhana, because of the jhana concentration. So when this happened, the meditators know what is the reason why it is being abandoned at this moment. Okay, then also the meditator also knows the reason why non-arising in the future of the abandoned sense desire comes to be. That means they know also that when meditators become arahants, then all kinds of lobha, once abandoned, will never return. They know that by the attainment of path consciousness, lobha is completely eradicated. So at that time, those sense desire that are being abandoned, they will never arise again. So non-arising in the future, it means that here. Now, sense desire or attachment to sensual object is eradicated by the anagami path consciousness. So that's the third stage of enlightenment. But all kind of desire, meaning those subtle lobha, such as the attachment to the Brahma lives or pride, are totally eradicated only with the arahata path consciousness. So this is how the non-arising in the future of abandoned sense desire comes to be. Okay, so concerning sense desire, meditators know, firstly, whether it is present or whether it is absent. That's what we need to be aware of. And then they know why this sense desire arises. And then they also know why it disappears. And then they also know that why it is being abandoned once and for all. So this is what we have to be aware of concerning the first hindrance, sense desire. Now, what can we do when sense desire arises? So it is suggested that we make, or in this practice, the instruction is we make this sense desire that has arisen to be the object of our meditation. Now, be careful here. The object of our meditation is the sense desire itself and not the object that the mind is desiring for. So say I'm wanting ice cream. So the object is not the ice cream, because if we take the ice cream to be the object, there will be more and more desire because we're focusing on that thing which is causing the desire. And we're looking at it in the wrong way because we think that this is nice, this is good, and like that, right? So the ice cream itself is not the object of meditation. The sense desire itself is the object of meditation. So when we notice that there is sense desire, what we need to watch is not the thing that sense desire wants, but sense desire itself. So sometimes by just watching the sense desire, it may sometimes subdue But this watching must involve wisdom or wise attention. So awareness alone is not enough. Many times, many meditators, they say, I know it, I see it, I know that it's there, but it doesn't go away or it is still there. So there must be also right view and right understanding together with the mindfulness. Just only knowing is not good enough. We must remember that the purpose of vipassana or the purpose of watching or observing is to gain wisdom. So we want to learn about this sense desire, and so it will not arise in the future again. Sometimes for some yogis, they experience the disappearance of a defilement by watching it. Sometimes if we're watching it, and then it may disappear. So the mind knows that, oh, if I watch it, it will disappear. So next time when a defilement arises, they use the watching, this observing, with the aim to make it disappear. Now that is not the correct way of vipassana. That watching, wanting it to go away, is actually contaminated by defilements. There are craving and aversion involved. The aversion towards the situation or the arising of that defilement, or may it be loba or dosa, whatever it may be, and the craving for it to go away. So this watching is not pure. It is not the pure observation because it is with defilement. And usually, if we're watching with defilement, it won't work. And we won't gain wisdom because there is defilements involved there and delusion as well. So some yogis say, I watch, but it doesn't go away. But the thing is, the purpose of watching is not for it to go away. It's to learn something, is to gain wisdom. So at this point, we must be very careful because it is very tricky, and many meditators fall into this trap of loba. So remember, the purpose of vipassana is not to calm the mind. If we want to calm the mind, we should do samatha meditation. Well, vipassana's purpose is to gain wisdom, is to learn about nama and rupa. So sometimes the mind might not be calm, might not be peaceful all the time, but there is a lot that we can watch and learn and observe and gain wisdom. Okay, so in the commentaries, 6 things that practitioners can do to abandon sense desire are mentioned. So in the commentaries, they suggested when there is sense desire, or in order to avoid or to not let sense desire arise so much, what can we do? So 6 things are being suggested. Now, before we go there, yes, Claudia, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question about what you said before.
Mm-hmm.
Like you observing when the sense of desire arise, or the sense of desire arise and then you observe it?
I think if you are fast enough, then you can catch the moment that it is arising. Or if the mind is not sharp enough, then it is already there. Then the watching mind observe it because it knows it's not fast enough. And when we notice it is already there.
No, because for me, like when a sense desire arise, I am aware of it. But is a kind of the sense desire is already there when I am observing it. So it's not me to observe that one. It's more that this one is present, and this is why I observe it. And I think it makes a little bit of the difference because when you intentionally want to observe something, it's difficult.
But if it is not there, we cannot observe it. So it must be present, must be there. Otherwise, how can we observe something that is not there?
Yeah, that's right. It's more like that you are aware of it, no?
Yes, well, when we said observe or contemplate or aware or be mindful or pay attention, all these words, they are interchangeable, but it all means to have sati, to know it. Yeah.
So basically, you know it that is there, and then you just observe it. That's all. This is your work.
Yes, with right view and right understanding. Understanding that sense desire arise because there is cause and condition, and we are looking at it as sense desire, as only sense desire. So lobha cetasika, it is not I have sense desire. So this is not me, not mine. We're just observing the nature.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Yes, Judy.
Sorry, is my audio okay?
Can you speak a little bit louder, please?
Okay, how about now? Is it better?
Yeah, better. Thank you.
Okay, I wish to refer you back to the first two slides where you say that knowing is wholesome, and lobha, which is sense desire, is unwholesome. And if I heard you correctly, it is that lobha, sense desire, arises a moment before knowing. So the questions I have here is, knowing is chitta. Am I correct?
Knowing is also chitta, sense desire is also chitta. I mean, they arise, sense desire cannot arise alone. Sense desire must arise together with the consciousness, no? Sense desire is a cetasika, it's a mental factor that arises together with the greed consciousness.
Okay, that one I understand. So my question is, if knowing is chitta, does it make a difference whether it is wholesome or unwholesome? Because
of course, because the knowing here, what we are talking about, the knowing is not just the conviction of an object. That kind of knowing is all chitta it knows that. So that is not the function of sati. What we are talking about is sati. We must have a consciousness, a chitta that is associated with sati, associated with mindfulness, in order to watch, in order to know. So the knowing we're talking about here is sati, not the cognition of an object. That's why it must always be wholesome.
So that knowing, right, in that slide, it is chitta plus sati, mindfulness.
I don't think I put chitta.
No. Okay, you didn't put that. You just say knowing it is wholesome, and then the sense desire is unwholesome, and the sense desire will come a moment ahead of knowing.
Yes, because it must be present before we can know it.
That I understand. So yeah, this part. So this wholesome on the left side, which is chitta, this is the one that you say.
This is not just chitta, Judy. Everything is chitta. All this is chitta. Everything that is arising in the mind is consciousness. Chitta is translated as consciousness. So any kind of consciousness is called chitta. We cannot call the wholesome, or we cannot call the observing mind chitta. We must call it a wholesome consciousness, because only a wholesome consciousness can observe, that is associated with sati, and hopefully associated with wisdom, can know or can practice meditation. So not all kind of chitta is a practice of meditation. Otherwise, all the time chitta is arising. Otherwise, we are practicing all the time.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Then the knowing mind and being known object arise at the same time, right? The knowing mind and being known object arise at the same time. If this is correct, then the wholesome knowing mind could exist at the same time with the unwholesome object. No, they do not arise actually at the same time, because remember, we are talking about microscopic again when we talk about chitta. So in a blink of an eye, billions of chittas arises and passes, and it's also actually they are mental processes. So one process must complete before another process arises, right? So when there is lobha, sense desire, at that moment, there is no sati. There is no mindfulness at all. In the process where greed arises, there is no sati at all. Then after that, another mental processes arise, and they are wholesome consciousness which know those desire that has arisen just a little while ago. We said a little while ago, that's because imagine if a blink of an eye, billions of consciousness arises and passes away. So in terms of time, it's really just now, no? So in our feeling, we can even feel, in our experience, we can even feel like we are having sense desire and knowing at the same time. Because it feels like that. Just like if it feels like when we are looking and seeing, hearing, smelling, and tasting at the same time, right? We feel like that. But actually, when there is seeing, there is no hearing. When there is hearing, there is no smelling. When there is smelling, there is no tasting. So each consciousness arises and then it passes and then another process and then another process. But because they are so quick, we feel like everything is happening at the same time. So it's because of that. But if we look at it microscopically, they are not exactly at the same moment, and therefore they cannot coexist. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's quite clear, but actually quite contract with what you have mentioned just now. If the object is not happening at the present time, so we cannot observe. So
right. Now you have to understand that when we talk about the present moment, then we have to understand in two ways. One is the technical way, and another one is the practical way. Now, when we say technical way, that means in terms of how nature works, one chitta arises and then it passes and then arises and then it passes. So it is not possible. There is no two chitta that arise in the same moment. So there cannot be watching and something happening at the same time. It's impossible in terms of how nature works microscopically. But when we practice, according to our experience, just like what I said a moment ago, it feels like we are looking and hearing at the same time. Yes? Do you feel that? Do you think you are seeing and hearing at the same time? But in ultimate reality, when there is eye consciousness, there is no ear consciousness. When there is no ear consciousness, when there is ear consciousness, there is no eye consciousness. But they are so fast that it feels like it is together, right? So this present moment, in terms of vipassana practice, we have to still consider this present moment a little bit wider than the usual technical present moment. You understand? So the present moment that we are observing is a little bit wider. So that means if I'm feeling a sense desire at the moment, and I also feel like I'm knowing it at the same time, right? So this, we can consider this the present moment, but not like technical present moment, but it's still present. So meaning that I'm not observing the lobha that has arisen yesterday. That is not possible because it is not present in that sense. Or the sense desire that will arise tomorrow. It is not here. It is not present like that.
Can I give an example, a very simple example? Just like when we are seeing, the seeing is happening and then the object of being seen, is it happening at the same time or different kind of moment?
Now, the thing that we are seeing, this rupa, it also arises and it passes, right? So the rupa, it has a lifespan a little bit longer than one consciousness. So when the seeing consciousness arise, it is looking at an object that is in its existing moment. Okay?
So it can be at the same time.
It is in the same time because it is not two chitta. No, we are looking at object, so it's rupa. It's chitta knowing rupa. Therefore, they can coexist at the same time. But there is no two chitta. If chitta is looking at chitta, then it's not possible because there's only one chitta at a time. Yeah.
So if this apply to knowing, the knowing mind and being known, so it cannot be at the same time. The mind door.
Therefore, there is no two chitta arising at the same time. So therefore, one know the other that has already arisen and has gone. But the present moment, when we practice, we have to take the present moment in a little bit wider sense, like right now. Yes?
Okay.
Like this present moment that we feel, in ultimate reality, billions of mind moment has already gone, what we call a present moment. Does it make sense?
A bit.
Don't think of it too complicatedly. You have to know that when you are practicing, when we are focusing on practice, we just take the present moment as how we usually daily know as present moment. right? Now, in this present moment, you can know the mind, you can know the body feeling, you can know many things, right? And it feels like the knowing and the feeling or the mind state, mental state, at the same time. We are knowing it and it is there, right? So that's the correct way. So just know that. And whether it arises at the same moment exactly or not, it actually doesn't matter. If you know what's happening and that's happening. But why do we say that it is not exactly happening at the same moment? Because when we talk about Abhidhamma, it is very precise. It is like science. Therefore, we explain about all these things in ultimate reality, how it works. But concerning practice, just this knowing this present as how we usually know is good enough.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay, anyone else? Anything else? All good? Okay, all right, so let's go to the 6 things that a practitioner can do in order to abandon sense desire. Let's see what they are. Now, the first thing that is suggested is for meditators to take up the learning of the Asubha practice or the contemplation of the disagreeable or non-beautiful aspect of the body, or looking at a corpse, or practicing the 32 parts of the body. Now this practice will help meditator to abandon sense desire. This is quite obvious, like as we have seen in the previous sessions about contemplation of the body, like Venerable Mahatissa, who practiced this a lot. He only sees skeletons or teeth, like when the person passed by. So when he looks at other people, he sees that only teeth and only skeletons. So in that way, no sense desire or attachment can arise to teeth or to the skeleton. So this helps to reduce sense desire, or help with the abandoning of sense desire. That's the first way. And then the second thing meditator can do is to practice this Asubha practice until reaching the stage of jhana. Now, when meditators reach jhana stage, then they will be able to abandon sense desire for that time temporarily. And also after emerging from jhana, because of that strong concentration, for some time it might not arise in the meditator. And then the third way is called Indriya Gutta Dvarakta. That means controlling the sense faculties. That means meditators control their senses, like their eyes, ears, nose, etc. So thoughts of sense desire do not so easily arise in them through the 6 sense door. For example, when monks go on Pindapata and alms round, then you will see they're usually looking a little bit downward to the road, and they are not looking around, looking here and looking there. That is, they are practicing the controlling of the eye sense faculty. Because there are many things that is going on in the village, So there may be beautiful girls in the village too. So monks do not look around to avoid the arising of sense desire. They control their sense faculty in this way. But of course, sometimes inevitably, maybe some beautiful ladies might come to the side of the monks, or when they pass by some restaurant, maybe some nice food or some nice smells like that will also arise. So at that time, then if sense desire do arise, then they will have to practice of watching it and understanding it and learning from it. So that's vipassana practice. Okay, and this controlling the sense faculty do not apply only to monks. It can also apply to our daily life as a lay person. For example, we can't control our sense faculty by not giving full credit to our desires. We can limit our time on social media or entertainment, or our constant checking the fridge for snacks and all these kind of things we can do to practice the controlling of sense faculties. Okay, so this is the third way. And then the fourth way to help abandon sense desire is moderation with respect to food. Bhojane matanyutta. So eating moderately will help to abandon sense desire. When we eat too much, sense desire will increase, and we have more desire for food and for other sensual pleasure also. Society in general is very used to overeating nowadays. It seems like a normal thing or like a harmless thing in fulfilling our sense desire as much as we want. But the Buddha advised us to eat in moderation. The more we eat, the more desire will grow. So therefore, meditators are advised not to fill their stomach to the rim. It is advised that when eating, meditators should leave some space and not eat till 100% full. Monks also practice in this way. So we should contemplate that this much is enough for the comfort of anybody whose mind is set towards reaching the state of Nibbana. So monks are advised to not finish everything and eat until they are 100% full, but instead they should leave the stomach like a quarter empty. They can drink some water to fill that, but never to eat until full. So this piece of advice tells us how to eat comfortably. Moderation in food means not filling the stomach to the top. And this will help the abandoning of sense desire. And the fifth way is having a good friend, or what we call a spiritual friend, Kalyanamitta, a friend that is firmly on the path. A good friend who has no or less sense desire can help us to abandon sense desire. When we are together with associating with these friends, and we get influence. Now we can learn from them. So Kalyanamitta, or spiritual friend, includes our teachers as well, those who guide us on our practice. So therefore, having a good friend is very essential. When we have a good friend, we can have good advice and we can learn from them and take them as example. So that's number 5. And then the 6th way is practicing suitable talk. Sapaya kata. To abandon sense desire, meditators should talk about things that are conducive to abandoning of sense desire, such as the reality pertaining to the body, the undesirable results of attachment, etc. So practicing suitable talk is also helpful for the abandonment of sense desire. So altogether, there are 6 things that the commentaries mentioned that can help with the abandonment of sense desire. So as a recap, the first one is to take up the Asubha practice, practice the Asubha until the attainment of jhana, controlling of the sense faculties, moderation with respect to food, having a spiritual friend, Kalyanamitta, and practicing suitable talk. So 6 things here. Okay, so I see something in the chat. Let's take a look. Ada, he said, I notice many Buddhist lay communities are very generous with their food offering to monks. Should monks refuse the food if it is too much? Should lay people offer less as a way to support the monks? This is a very good and interesting question. Yes, in Asia especially, people usually offer a lot, because they are very generous and they want to offer the best as much as possible. They offer. And usually monks, they cannot finish everything. So whatever we offer to the sayadaws, they never actually eat up everything because it's just quite impossible to finish all that food. What we do in, let's say, in the monastery style meditation center that we usually go, the food actually does not go to waste. So what the monks they take it in their bowl. So they actually take whatever portion that is suitable for them, and then they finish the bowl, whatever food is in their bowl, they eat it there. And whatever is not finished, usually they have like different dishes, and then they have spoon there, so it's all clean because they pick and then they put it in their own bowl, so they're not eating from there. So those food are clean, and then some other people will later on will take that food usually. After offering, when it is left, then other people will take any oil. Yeah, so usually it does not go to waste. And Yeah, I think the practice of how much the monks eat, I think lay people do not need to concern too much of like, I want to help him, so I just give him a little bit, no? Because in this way, that we do not know how much the venerable can eat. Or some people have different body buildings. Sometimes they need more food, sometimes they need less food. So, and also it is also maybe good to not limit the generosity of the people if it is not going to waste. So people do offer, and then I think it is the monk's responsibility to take the however suitable amount for themselves. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. Okay. So, anything else, anyone? Concerning sense desire? All good? Okay, so we have finished with the first 5 hindrances, first of the 5 hindrances, sense desire. So the next one is ill will, vyabhada. So the sutta continues here. It says, when ill will is present in him, he knows there is ill will in me, or when ill will is absent in him, he knows there is no ill will in me. So here it is basically the same approach as with the sense desire, the first hindrance. Last week, we have also seen that ill will is actually dosa, no? Dosa cetasika. So dosa, it has a very wide range. It's not just the wish of harming others, like the English term ill will here, although it's vyabhada here. This word is used meaning ill will, meaning the wish of for others to get something misfortunate events happen to others, or wishing harm for the others. But also it includes other subtle version also we can include here. So this we have seen last week, so I will just go through quickly. So from subtle to gross, there are many different manifestations of dosa. It can be from just a little bit of uneasiness or boredom all the way to rage or hatred or ill will, wishing harm for others. So sometimes we can just be a little bit annoyed or just a little bit bored, but if this is not taken care of, any other little thing that we do not like will contribute to the accumulation of dosa. Then we become restless, and dosa will grow very quickly. And many times, only after the explosion, we come to realize that we were overpowered by dosa and that we regret later on. So in order to avoid this, every time we recognize that there is just even a little bit of dosa, we need to take it seriously and not just ignore it, thinking that it doesn't matter, it will not harm. No, but when it grows, then it will become very serious. So whenever we noticed, even that is just a little bit, we know that this is a hindrance for our development, for our happiness, and for our freedom. And therefore, we have to watch it, observe it, and let it go and return to zero, no? As we have seen previously, the advice of Sayadaw Tejaniya. And then when it has disappeared, meditators must also be aware that it is not here anymore. It is absent. It has disappeared. There is no more dosa at this moment. So here, the sutta continues in the same way as the first hindrance, that he knows the reason by which the arising of the non-arisen ill will comes to be. Again, here, the practitioner also exercises wise reflection, contemplating especially on anicca, that everything is impermanent. The object of ill will are also impermanent. And when we wisely reflect on the impermanence, then we cannot get angry about it or about anything. But when we reflect unwisely, then we will experience ill will or anger towards this object. So the reason why ill will arise is the unwise reflection. Or as last week we saw, the grounds of anger, no? Thinking that some other people has done in the past, is doing in the present, or will do in the future, will do harm to us, to our dear ones, etc. No, we saw that last week already. So therefore, sometimes we may notice that it will arise because I reflect wrongly, or I have an unwise attitude towards things, or wrong view towards things. So when we are aware of this, we are said to be aware of the cost of the arising of ill will. And on the other hand, when we experience ill will and we are aware of it with right view, they may disappear. Now, when it disappears, then we become aware of its disappearance, and we know that it disappeared because we are aware of it and we reflect wisely because of Yoneso Manasikara, especially if we contemplate on loving kindness, on metta. So, wise reflection are the cause of the disappearance of ill will. When we are aware of this, we are aware of the cause of the abandoning of ill will. So that's knowing or understanding why it arises and why it disappeared or abandoned, being abandoned. Then meditators also know that this abandoned ill will, once abandoned, why it won't arise again in the future. That means meditators, they know when they become an anagami or an arahant, all kinds of dosa, once abandoned, will never return. They know that by attainment of path consciousness, ill will is completely eradicated. So this is again the three types, the different knowings about ill will. First, we know whether it's present or absent, the reason why it arises, the reason why it is disappears, and the reason why the abandoned ill will never come back. Okay, so again, in the commentaries, there are 6 things that are advised for practitioners to practice in order to abandon ill will. The first one is to learn about loving kindness meditation. So sending our thoughts of loving kindness and goodwill towards all beings is the first way to help the abandonment of ill will. And the second way is to practice metta meditation until reaching the jhana stage. When meditators reach jhana stage, then they will be able to abandon ill will. And then the third one is the reflection on karma as one's own property. Karma sakata pachavekana. The reflection that our karma is our own property is very important in many reasons. When we are angry, we can consider that we are reborn here as a human being because of our past karma, karma that we have accumulated in the past. We shall also be reborn hereafter, after this life, according to the karma that we are accumulating in this life. So being reborn and die, beings are reborn and die according to their own karma. So there is no reason for us to be angry with anybody. A person who is angry is like a person who wants to pick up a red hot iron ball with his hand and to throw it at someone else. So who is going to burn first? So if we reflect in this way, that our own karma is our own responsibility, and we all shape our own life according to our own karma, literally our own actions. By this contemplation, we will be able to reduce or remove ill will. So that's the third way. And then the fourth way is the contemplation of the advantage of loving kindness and the disadvantage of anger, or ill will, or hatred. So we also reflect on karma being one's own property and also property of the other person as well. So everyone is responsible for their own karma. Each each person gets the result of one's own karma or one's own action. So by recognizing this, meditators will be able to abandon dosa or ill will. Then the fifth way is again having a spiritual friend, a kalyanamitta. A good friend is always a good condition or cause for the abandoning of any kind of unwholesome thoughts or unwholesome mind. In this case, ill will. People who are full of loving kindness can influence other people to be full of loving kindness as well. So when we associate with a friend who has abundance of loving kindness, we'll be able to abandon ill will and anger. We can take our friend as an example. And also, as we said, Kalyanamitta also includes our teachers who inspire us. So taking them as an example, we try our best to develop this wholesome qualities and to abandon those unwholesome qualities. Look how smiley Xiaoji. Okay, so the sixth way is the practicing of suitable talk. So practitioners are advised to talk about loving kindness, the advantage of having loving kindness, and the disadvantage of having ill will. So this is also another way to help the abandonment of ill will. Okay, so as a recap, 6 things here. The first is to take up the loving kindness practice. The second is to practice metta meditation until the attainment of jhana. The third one is the reflection of karma as one's own property. And then the fourth one, the contemplation of the advantages and disadvantages of loving kindness and ill will. And then number 5, having a spiritual friend, Kalyanamitta, and practicing suitable talks. So these 6 ways are 6 things that lead to the abandonment of ill will that is mentioned in the commentaries. Okay, so up to here, we have finished with 2 of the 5 hindrances, sense, desire, and ill will. So let's take a break here, and then coming back, we'll look at sloth and torpor, restlessness, and remorse, and worried, and doubt as well. Okay, so see you in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so before we continue to the next hindrance, there is something in the chat box. Let's take a look. So Kate, she says, regarding sense desire, is appreciation unskillful? For example, if I have gone to visit a dear friend and she has put beautiful flowers on the table, cooked me a delicious meal, and gives me a nice feeling hug, as long as I recognize those things as impermanent, is it leading me down to the wrong path to enjoy and appreciate them? Thank you. Okay, so Kate, appreciation is a beautiful mind state. It is gratitude. Being appreciating something is not unskillful, but attachment is unskillful. So we have to be careful. So if we visit a friend and there is beautiful flowers and there is a delicious food and there is a nice hug and everything is fine if we are not attached to it. But there is nothing wrong that we enjoy it. While we are enjoying these things, we have to be aware that whether there is attachment or not. But because while we are being with a friend, we are enjoying, but at the same time, there is wisdom that this is a very beautiful moment. We are enjoying ourselves. We are sharing loving kindness with each other, and that's beautiful. But if I am attached to it, then it gets contaminated. So I'm expecting that it will be just as nice next time. Now, next time I go to her house, how come there's no flowers? Right? Or, like, why are you not cooking me nice food today? No? Or like this expectation or attachment. Then this kind of things are unskillful, but just appreciating or enjoying the present moment, a good moment, and at the same time knowing that this is also not permanent. It is here, it is good at the moment, but this will also go. So that is enjoying with wisdom also. So enjoying is not the problem, attachment is the problem. Okay? All right. And also when we have good good things or good experience happening, that's also because of our past karma. Because we have done something good in the past, so at the present moment we are enjoying the pleasant effects of something. No, so that does not mean that it is bad. Otherwise, we will be in the other extreme, like before the Buddha became enlightened, he practiced the other extreme of like torturing the body or torturing, like we should not have anything good. No, so it is also not that way. When something pleasant is there, it's okay, we can have it, we can enjoy it, but we also know that this is also not permanent, and it is dangerous also in a way because we might attach to it. So we just have to be careful with that. So the experience itself is okay, but how our attitude towards it is the important thing. Okay, all right, thank you for your question. Okay, so if there is nothing else, then we will go back to the content. All good? All right. So the next hindrance that we're going to talk about is sloth and torpor, which is sleepiness and laziness. We all experience sloth and torpor from time to time. And let's see what the sutta says. Now, when sloth and torpor are present in him, meditators know there are sloth and torpor in me. Or when sloth and torpor are absent in him, he knows there are no sloth and torpor in me. So in the same way, first thing, we have to know whether there is this sleepiness or laziness present or not. Now, sleepiness may come to meditators every now and then. We all have this experience during meditation. When we feel sleepy, we must be alert to this sleepiness and try to be aware of it. Sometimes it is not so easy, but sometimes if we are able to be aware of it, sometimes it may go away also. So when they disappear, then we are also to know and to be aware that it has disappeared, that there is no sloth and torpor present at this moment, or it is absent at this moment. Now, what is the cause of drowsiness? Last week, we saw the tinamida, right? So these sloth and torpor are actually two different cetasikas. And the proximate cause of tinamida is the unwise attention to boredom or drowsiness, etc. And now if we have unwise attention, ayoniso manasikara, that means we think that there is no harm in being bored or lethargy or sluggishness, and then these are okay. Thinking that way will lead to the arising of sleepiness or laziness. So what we need to do again is to apply wise reflections, especially about the correct attitudes towards the exertion of effort. So meditators can abandon sloth and torpor and sleepiness by reflecting correctly and also by exerting effort. So when we are sleepy, then we take note or we are aware of that sleepiness is arising at this time. And that is one way. And then the other way is to step up energy and to put in more effort or to pay more attention to the object of the meditation. So by way of effort, sloth and torpor can be abandoned. So when they are present, we know it's present. When they are absent, we know also that they are absent. Then the sutta continues like the other sections. Then we are to know the reason why this non-reason sloth and torpor arises, and the reason why they are being abandoned, and also why those non-reason in the future of the abandoned sloth and torpor come to be. So that means that the meditators know that unwise reflection on the state of boredom and drowsiness is the cause of sloth and torpor, and the reason for its abandoning is wise reflection or correct attitude towards the exertion of effort. And sloth and torpor are actually totally eradicated in the attainment of the final stage of enlightenment, so arahantship. When practitioners become an arahant, only then they will abandon sloth and torpor altogether. They are aware that sloth and torpor have been eradicated because they have truly attained the last stage of enlightenment. So in the commentaries, again, 6 things are mentioned to help practitioners abandon tinamida. The first one is to understand that eating too much can cause sloth and torpor. When the stomach is full, it needs more blood, and the blood, which would have gone to the brain, will go to the stomach. So we feel dizzy or sleepy. Now, when we understand, and I think we all have this experience, when we understand this, then we understand that practicing moderation in eating is also helpful for eliminating sloth and torpor. Then the second advice is to change posture when we are meditating. If we feel sleepy, then we can stand up, or we can practice standing meditation, or we can do walking meditation, walk up and down to wake up the mind. So that's the second advice. And the third thing is to reflect on the perception of light. So we try to see light in our mind, the light of the sun or any bright light. Reflecting on the perception of light will help abandon sleepiness. So we just close our eyes and we try to see light or of anything that are bright like that. So in this way, we may be able to abandon sloth and torpor. The fourth way is staying in the open. Sometimes when we sit indoor, we may feel sleepy. So at those times, then we may try to go outside and sit under a tree or walk around and look around and just wake up the mind. And the fifth way is, again, having a good friend, a spiritual friend, a Kalyanamitta, who is not fond of sleeping. A friend who is not given too much to sleepiness. When we are associated with a person who is energetic and does not feel sleepy all the time, then we may be able to abandon sleepiness or sloth and torpor as well. Then the sixth is practicing suitable talk. So we recognize the disadvantage of sleepiness or laziness and the advantage of keeping ourselves alert and awake. So these are the 6 things that are mentioned that lead to the abandonment of sloth and torpor. So as a recap, first one, understanding eating too much is a cause of sloth and torpor. The second thing is we can try to change our posture. And the third thing is we can reflect on the perception of light or stay in the open and having a spiritual friend, as well as practicing suitable talk. Now, in the suttas, where we find more reference and more advice to counter sleepiness. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha gave advice to Venerable Moggallana, one of his 2 chief disciples. You might have already heard about this sutta before. Venerable Moggallana, he was the foremost in psychic power. He has jhana and also abhinya. So before he reached arhathood, while he was practicing meditation, he was overcome by sleepiness. He was just nodding and could not keep his mind on the meditation object. Then the Buddha knew about this and advised him on how to fight sleepiness. So let's take a look at some of the parts of this sutta and see what the Buddha said. So in the sutta it says, the Buddha asked, "Are you nodding, Moggallana? Are you nodding?" Then Venerable Moggallana said, "Yes, I'm sleepy." Then the Buddha said, "Well, Moggallana, whatever thoughts of drowsiness before you, you should not pay any attention to such thoughts. You should not dwell on such thoughts. By doing so, it will be possible that your drowsiness will vanish." So the first advice that the Buddha gave was to not pay attention to those thoughts that induce drowsiness. That's the number one first advice. And then the Buddha continues and he says, if by doing so, drowsiness does not vanish, then you should reflect upon the teaching that you have learned and heard. You should ponder over these teachings and examine them closely in your mind. By doing so, it is possible that your drowsiness may vanish. So if we do not pay attention to those thoughts, it doesn't work. Then the second thing to do is to reflect upon and examine the Dhamma closely in the mind. So we try to remember the Dhamma and to examine the Dhamma in the mind. When we ponder over the Dhamma and examine it closely, then we will become alert again, and sleepiness and drowsiness may disappear. And if by doing so, drowsiness won't vanish, the third way is to repeat in detail the teachings you have learned and heard. That means we recite them. So just having it, remembering in the mind, we're still sleepy, then we recite it out loud. And if by doing so, the drowsiness still does not vanish, then the fourth way of removing it is to pull our earlobes, and with our hands, and to rub our limbs with our hands. So when we pull our ear and rub our limbs, we become a little bit more alert. So that's the fourth way. And if by doing so, still drowsiness does not vanish, then the fifth way is to get up from the seat and wash our eyes with cold water. And then we should look around in all directions, wash our face, wash our eyes. And so by doing so, it is possible that drowsiness may vanish. So this is the fifth thing that the Buddha advised Venerable Moggallana to do. And if by doing so, drowsiness does not vanish, the sixth way is to pay attention to the perception of light, like the one we just saw right now. So imagining light in the mind, even if it is in the nighttime, when we are meditating, where we can still try to see bright light in the mind. So with the mind clear and unclouded, then we can cultivate that mind filled with brightness, and then it is possible, then drowsiness will vanish. And if by doing so, drowsiness does not vanish, and when your senses are turned inward and your mind not straying outward, the seventh way is to walk up and down. So we get up and do walking meditation in that case, if we are still sleepy. Then being aware of going back and forth when walking in walking meditation, then we may be able to drive away sleepiness. And then if even by doing so, by doing all the above 7 things, drowsiness still does not vanish, then the Buddha said you may lie down lion-like. That means lying down on your right side, placing one foot on the other, clearly aware of what you are doing and keeping in mind the thought of rising. So that means just take a rest. If all this thing doesn't work, so just rest, but keep in mind that, but still keeping mindfulness, and also keeping in mind that we are to wake up after a little rest, no? So we may all have the experience sometimes when we have something to do in the morning, which is really important, and we think, oh, I have to wake up tomorrow and in the morning. So even before the alarm rings, sometimes we wake up. No, we do wake up in the morning. So that is keeping in mind the thought of rising. So that means the mind has made an intention, or it has made a decision to wake up in the morning at a certain time. So that is what is meant by keeping in mind the thought of rising here. Now, Sayadaw Usilananda, he also said in the book, he said that when waking up, you should get up quickly, no snooze alarm. The moment you hear the alarm, you must get up thinking, I must not indulge in the comfort of resting and reclining. That is the pleasure of sleeping. Thus, you must be able to drive away drowsiness and sleepiness. So Sayadaw Usilananda advise us when we wake up, then we wake up quickly, not lying down and just still enjoying and lingering on the bed. Okay, so there are 7 methods to deal with sleepiness in this sutta, and the last one, Sayadaw Usilananda said, it is just a graceful surrender to sleepiness. Maybe the body really needs to rest, so we rest and then we try to practice again after taking a little rest, and then in this way we will be able to drive away sloth and torpor or drowsiness. Okay, so that was about slot and topper. Then we will go to the next hindrance, which is restlessness and remorse. Before we go there, all good until here? Yes? Okay. All right, so let's go to restlessness and remorse or worried. Now, restlessness, udacha, we saw it last week, so we just go through it quickly. That is disquietude of the mind, turmoil, or distraction of the mind. When there is restlessness, there is no mental calmness enabling the mind to consider the object clearly. So restlessness means the inability of the mind to stay with the object. So let's quickly look at the 4 devices again, just to remember. The characteristic of restlessness is disquietude. Its function is to make the mind unsteady. It's manifested as turmoil, and its proximate cause is the unwise attention to mental disquiet. That means that it doesn't understand the real nature of agitation, and it doesn't care whether there is tranquility or agitation, thinking that this mental agitation cannot do me any harm. It doesn't matter. So because of this kind of unwise attention or unwise reflection or thoughts, then the restlessness arises. Okay, then let's look at remorse, because for this hindrance, there are actually, again, 2 different cetasika. One is restlessness, udacha, and the other one is kukucha, remorse. So let's look at remorse. Now, it is said that one can only regret about 2 kinds of actions. Only 2. Really? Only 2? We may think that no, we can regret about so many things, thousands of things we can regret about, right? So how come it's only 2? What are these 2? So let's see. So he said that the first one is remorse for those unwholesome things that we have done. So if we have done something wrong or something unwholesome in the past, then we may regret about it. And the other thing that we can have remorse towards is with regard to the good things or wholesome things that we did not do in the past when there was the opportunity. So that's when we think that, oh, I should have done that, I should have done that. So that is said that that's the only 2 things that we can have remorse or regret about. Something that we have done unwholesome, or something good or something wholesome that we have not done when there was a chance. Okay, so only these 2 things. If we think of those thousands of things, then I think they all fall into these 2 categories. So sometimes when we read the suttas, and I really appreciate the Buddha is very wise, no, like how he explained all the things. Okay, so let's take a look at the 4 devices of remorse. The characteristic of remorse is subsequent regret. Now, then we become regret sometime after what we have done or what we have not done. And then its function is sorrow over what has and what has not been done. So we feel sorrow about that. And the manifestation is the aversion towards that. And the proximate cause is that thing, that precise thing, that what we have done or what we have not done. So kukucha, remorse, can also be translated not only just as remorse, sometimes you see worried also, because this kukucha also means the mental agitation arising from the anxiety that one has done or might do something wrong or might fail to do something right. So therefore, it is also sometimes translated as worried. So remorse or worried. Now, the cause for the abandoning of remorse are wise reflection on mental tranquility. So when we have wise reflection on upekkha or mental tranquility, we will be able to abandon restlessness and remorse. So when we experience restlessness, remorse, or worried, we know that they are present and we make it the object of our meditation. We observe it with right view, restlessness and remorse or worry, they are just restlessness, remorse, or worry. They are just what they are. They are mental factors. They arise because of cause and condition. They do not belong to me. It is not that I am restless or I am worried. We should look at it with right view. Restlessness is only restlessness. Remorse, only remorse. Worried, only worried. Not I, not me, not mine. So when they disappear, we also have to know that they are absent. So in the same way, the sutta goes like the other sections. When restlessness and remorse are present in him, he knows there are restlessness and remorse in me. Or when restlessness and remorse are absent in him, he knows there are no restlessness and remorse in me. And then in the same way, it proceeds to understanding the reason why it arises, why it is being abandoned, and why the abandoned restlessness do not arise in the future. So let's take a look in the graphical way. So the arising of restlessness is the unwise attention to mental disquiet, and the cause of the arising of remorse is what has not been done. And the cause for its abandoning is the wise reflections on mental tranquility. So Yoniso Manasikara is very important, this wise reflection and unwise reflection, because it is the general cause for all kinds of wholesome state and unwholesome state. So this is really very important to try to see things wisely as they really are. Then remorse can be abandoned completely by the attainment of the third stage of enlightenment, so anagami. And restlessness can be abandoned completely by the attainment of the fourth stage of enlightenment, so arahathood. When practitioners have reached the third stage of enlightenment, they will become aware of the complete abandonment of remorse. And when they have attained the fourth stage, then that means they became an arahant, then they become aware of the complete abandonment of restlessness. So that's how future udacha and kukucha will never arise again. So here also, there are 6 things that practitioners can do to abandon restlessness and remorse. Let's take a look. The first one is reaching the stage of being learned in the teaching of the Buddha. In Pali, it's called Bahu Sutatta. So practitioners try to have a good knowledge of the teaching of the Dhamma, and this will help for the abandonment of restlessness and worried or remorse. And the second thing that we can do is inquiring about what is right and what is wrong. When we do something wrong, when we will feel remorse. So to not do wrong, we must know what is right and what is wrong, or in other words, what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. If we avoid unwholesome as much as possible because we know it, then we won't experience remorse. In the teachings of the Buddha, asking questions are encouraged. It is called, the Dhamma is ehipasiko, so come and see. We need to learn and then experience by ourselves. We don't just blindly believe in anything. So we can ask whenever something is not clear. And the third way is the understanding of the disciplinary rules. And this is for monks and nuns, actually. So they are expected to have a good knowledge of the Vinaya, the disciplinary rules. When they know the Vinaya thoroughly, they won't break them unknowingly. So they will not experience either remorse or restlessness because they know the rules and then they keep the rules. And the fourth way is associating with more experienced person in the practice of sila. So this is not only for monks and nuns, for lay people as well. When we associate with someone who is more experienced in the practice of the Dhamma or in sila, then we can take them as example, and we can also be influenced by their behavior. And in this way, we can also have less restlessness and remorse and worried. And the fifth one is having a spiritual friend, Kalyanamita, when we associate with a person who is calm and have good sila, good morality, then they can help us for the abandonment of restlessness and remorse. Number 6, the sixth way is using suitable talk again. So talking about the disadvantage of restlessness and remorse and the advantage of tranquility. So that will also help help for the abandonment of restlessness and remorse. So again, as a recap, 6 things. First one is being learned in the Buddha's teaching, Bahusuttata. Second one, inquiring about what is right and what is wrong, Paripucakata. Then we have the understanding the disciplinary rules. They are associating with more experienced persons, and having a spiritual friend, and practicing suitable talks. So that's about restlessness and remorse. Okay, so before we go to the last hindrance, any questions? Yes, Claudia?
So basically, when you follow in Sila, you are already helping yourself to do not feel remorse in the future. Is that correct? Because it makes sense, right? Like if you do not lie or you do not steal, then this one is also action, and this will help you.
Yes, of course, yes. Yeah, that's very good. Claudia, this is just like for the monks, we see that one advice is to learn the disciplinary rules, no? So for lay people, it's keeping the sila, it can be 5 precepts, or it can be 8 precepts, 9 precepts, 10 precepts. So if we keep good morality, as you say, there is no reason for us to be to regret or to have remorse in the future, because we know we are doing good, we are not doing harm to anybody, so we don't have to have any remorse. So this is helpful too. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes, Zenan?
Yes, I want to know whether if there is a lot of thinking or thoughts, is it considered a kind of restlessness?
Yes, actually, in a way, yes. And also it depends of what kind of thoughts, no? If those thoughts are together with defilements, so a lot of thoughts like very restless, a lot of thoughts about desire, sense desire, or about ill will, or just about useless things, just thinking about this and that. So that's with delusion also, no? So that's also restless, considered restlessness, because restlessness is a universal akusala cetasika. So that means any kind of unwholesome mind always associate with restlessness.
Okay. Okay, thank
Welcome. Yes, Linda.
Thanks, Heidi. Can you please elaborate on practicing suitable talk? So what is considered suitable talk? Thanks.
Yes, this suitable talk in this case about restlessness and remorse, or in general?
In general.
In general. Okay, yes, because you see that we have so far we have seen the 4 hindrances, right? And this number 5 and number 6, they are always there, you know, having a good friend and also practicing suitable talk. So the suitable talk actually means talk that are conducive for our development. Positive talks, healthy talks, talks about the Dhamma, talks about the practice, talk about the advantage of having metta or having good qualities, and the disadvantage about having bad qualities, and also talking about karma, like how one is responsible for our own actions, and then there are cause and effect, no, all these things. So things that are conducive for our practice, things that are in accordance with the truth, with the Dhamma. And so these are all suitable talks that supports our practice, supports our development of good quality.
Okay,
so
thank
that
you.
is suitable talks.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that's all. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the last one. The last hindrance, doubt. I think Tom asked about doubt last time, right? So here it comes as the hindrance, the last hindrance. Okay, so what is doubt? Vicikicca, doubt. Doubt is indecision, being puzzled, or hesitation, uncertain, or wavering. When there is doubt, one wavers, one cannot choose, one is not sure. Why? Because of its inability to comprehend. Doubt, when there is doubt, the mind cannot understand or cannot comprehend what is right or what is wrong, and what is suitable and what is not suitable. So that's doubt, right? And sometimes, for example, if we are at the crossroad and we are not sure to turn left or right, and those kind of doubt, those are not akusala. So that's just lack of knowledge of the road, of the map, So we're not talking about those kind of doubt, not doubting whether I should take strawberry taste or chocolate taste ice cream, not those kind of doubt we're talking about here. The doubt we're talking about here, vicikicca here means the doubt about the practice, doubt about the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, about the training. Training meaning the training of sila, morality, samadhi, concentration, and panyan, wisdom, so meditation practice or the Dhamma in general. Also, doubt about ultimate reality, about cause and effect, about karma, about the noble truths. This kind of skeptical doubt is called vicikicca here. Now, when doubt arises in our mind, it is very difficult for us to go on practicing meditation. It is said to be harmful to our practice. Now, let's take a look at this Pali word vicikicca. We can understand it in two ways. The first one, we can divide this word into we. This prefix means no, and cikicca means remedy or curing. So that means no remedy of what? Of understanding. When there is doubt, there is no wisdom, there is no knowledge. So there is no remedy or no medicine for wisdom to arise or to emerge. So that's the first meaning of vicikicca. And then we can also understand it by dividing the word in to vici, which means investigating, and kicca means getting tired. So when there is vicikicca, when there is doubt, one thinks about something and cannot come to a conclusion and becomes tired and frustrated. So this is the second meaning of vicikicca, because there is no wisdom, no understanding. So however much one thinks about something, then we cannot come to a conclusion, cannot get an answer. So the mind becomes tired and frustrated. So that's doubt also. Now, doubt will not let us move forward in our practice because we doubt the way, we doubt the method, or we doubt whether it actually works or not. So, of course, if there are things that we are not clear, we should ask our teacher and get clarification. But too much skeptical doubt is not healthy. Wisdom is always to be balanced with saddha, which is faith and confidence, right? So doubt can be removed by mental stability, concentration, and also by strengthening one's right view and understanding. Now let's take a look at the 4 devices of vicikicca. Its characteristic is doubting, function, to waver, manifestation, indecisiveness, and us taking various sides. So it cannot decide. So it's like taking various sides. And its proximate cause is again unwise attention. So here in the sutta, just like the other sections, whenever we notice doubt arising, we need to be aware of them. And whenever we know that it has disappeared, we also have to notice that it is not arising or it has disappeared. In the same way, we have to understand the cause of arising of doubt are unwise reflection on things that can cause doubt or doubt itself. And the cause for the abandoning of doubt are wise reflection on things that are wholesome and healthy. So with wrong reflection, we may have doubt about the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And when we reflect things wisely, then we may not have these kind of doubts. So when meditators reach the first stage of enlightenment, Sotapaddi Magga, doubt is altogether eradicated. and the person will know that there is no more doubt in him anymore. So that's the non-arising in the future of the abandoned doubt in the first stage of enlightenment. Okay, so 6 things are again mentioned to help eliminate doubt. The first one is being learned in the Buddha's teaching. We try to become knowledgeable. When we have information, then there will be less doubt, right? So that's the first advice. The second one is inquiring about the triple gems. Triple gems meaning Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So we ask questions about that, about the Buddha, about the Dhamma, and about the Sangha. And when we become clear, and when our questions get answered, then doubt can be removed. And then the third way is understanding the disciplinary rules. Again, this is for monks and nuns. When they understand the rules, they will know what to do and what not to do. So there will be no doubt. And the fourth way is to develop confidence, saddha, that is well-founded on understanding of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. In Pali, this is called adhimokkha bahulata. So literally, it means being decided about the truth of the triple gem with one's own ability. One decide what is right and wrong through learning, asking, and practicing. Because sometimes if we just keep asking questions and we don't practice, don't try it out for ourselves, then we either just believe it blindly, the answer, or we will always have some kind of doubt because we have not practiced it. So developing confidence by learning, by studying, asking questions, and also by practicing as well. Then the fifth way is having a good friend. A friend who has confidence in the triple gem will also help us dispel doubt. And the sixth way, again, is having suitable talks. So we talk about the advantage or disadvantage of having doubt and having confidence. So these are the 6 things that is advised for practitioners to eliminate doubt. First, being learned in the Buddha's teaching, inquiring about the triple gems, understanding the disciplinary rules, developing saddha, faith or confidence, having a spiritual friend, as well as practicing suitable talks. So these are the 5 hindrances that we need to be aware of whenever they arise. And we also need to be aware when they are absent. We also understand the causes of their arising and their abandoning, and also by attaining enlightenment, all defilements will be gone once and for all. So this is the section on which how we observe the 5 hindrances. So after being able to abandon these 5 hindrances, or at least momentarily abandoning them, not letting them arise, we will become concentrated. And with concentration, samadhi, we will be able to realize and penetrate the true nature of mind and matter, which is the object of vipassana, right? So again, in this section of the sutta, it continues just like the other previous contemplations. So it says that meditator dwells contemplating the Dhamma and the Dhamma internally, or he dwells contemplating the Dhamma and the Dhammas externally, or he dwells contemplating the Dhamma and the Dhamma both internally and externally. So that means when meditators dwell upon these hindrances in themselves, then they are said to be contemplating internally. And when they are thinking of the hindrances of other people also, that just as these hindrances in me that are impermanent, other hindrances in other people are also impermanent. So in this way, contemplating externally. And also, meditators contemplate that hindrances arise because of cause and effect. There are conditions for their arising. So it is not me, not mine. There is no being there. So such as there is no being here, there is also no being out there. So in this way, meditators understand anatta, understanding the non-self nature. So no being here, no being there, internal, external. And when they contemplate back and forth, that's internally and externally. So in this way, also, meditators contemplate the origination factors, dissolution factors, and both the origination and dissolution factors in the Dhamma. So that means that just like the other sections, meditators contemplate about mind and matter, the 5 aggregates of clinging, and develop understanding that there is no being, there is only mind and matter, and also contemplating on seeing the causes of mind and the causes of matter. And then progress to higher stages of vipassana contemplation by seeing the universal characteristic anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature of both mind and matter. And then meditators will recognize that there is nothing to grasp or to be attached to by way of craving or wrong view, because now they understand that everything, mind and matter, whatever that is existing here within these 5 aggregates of clinging, they are all anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So in this way, meditators contemplate the Dhamma in the Dhammas, in the 5 hindrances. And then all the way until they attain the highest stages of vipassana and get fully enlightened. So this part, the last part, is the same as all the other contemplations that we have seen previously. Okay, so here we have come to the end of the subsection of the 5 hindrances. Okay, up to here, all good? Does anyone has any questions or everything okay? All good? All right. Okay, so thank you very much for joining today. So next week we are going to look at the second subsection of the contemplation of the Dhamma, which is the 5 aggregates of clinging. Okay, so we'll stop here today. Thank you for joining, and we will dedicate our effort for the attainment of Nibbana, and also we will share merits with all beings. So let's recite together. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa pachayo hotu. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa pachayo hotu. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa pachayo hotu. Itam no punyam sabasatanam bhajima. Itam no punyam sabasatanam bhajima. Itam no punyam sabasatanam bhajima. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you everyone. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you, Heidi. Beautiful sharing.